Sorry, my husband's now yelling at me about something. And I pushed the live button and now he's yelling at me. Apparently our son, our 8-year-old, put the heater on. It's like 30 degrees out there. Oops. Anyway, right. Hello. Welcome. I don't think there's anybody on yet, but if you're watching this on YouTube, that was a different start. Sorry about that. Welcome to Friday. Happy Friday. I hope you've had a wonderful week. Hope you've got a relaxing weekend planned. We are here for part 3 of this gorgeous little cabinet. Don't have a lot to say. Ready for Friday to be done. I hope you have had a wonderful week. It's been, I don't know where you are in the world, but we're in Central Victoria. We're in Bendigo. We've actually had a couple of really nice, fairly cool days with a lot of wind, but the wind's kept the temperature down because that sun is burning. But the temperature's been really low. So I've been here all day for like the last 3 days, getting a lot done. But we're here and we're going to do our last live on this little cabinet today, which I'm really excited by. I don't have a lot to say on it, I don't think. Yes, I do. Right, recap. That's what I wanted to say. We'll get there. So this little cabinet, on Wednesday, I sanded the top. I sanded, did a scruff sand, did a good clean, and I primed prior to going live, so you haven't seen that bit. Then we decoupaged on Wednesday. I showed you the 4 new Posh papers, decoupage papers and their design. So we've got our own collection, the Painted Brush & Co. Old World collection, which is really exciting. They are all available online and in store now. We used the paper called Elise, which I love. My name is Elise, so tell you what, it's nice to have something named after you occasionally. My name's one of those names that you never see anywhere. You know, as kids, when there'd always be like these things with your names on them, but my name was never on anything. So it's nice having my name on something. I even now, I get really excited. I read a lot, get so excited when I see my name in a book. Anyway, sidetracked. So we popped our decoupage paper on Wednesday, and we did our first sort of a rough-in blend. So we were sort of just getting our colours laid down, working out what colours worked and what didn't work, and just getting a feel for where we wanted our colours to be. So we have used Pure Eco Chalk Finish as our main colours. That is a chalk paint. Absolutely beautiful paint. Let me show you the label. Pure Eco Chalk Finish. So we have used our main colours were Rainforest and Bergamot. Rainforest is a really dark, almost black green, and then Bergamot's like a green grass green, but like a darker. It's got, you know, when you were colouring with textures growing up and there was always that perfect colour for grass, that's what Bergamot is. Every single time, that's what I think about. So they were our main 2 colours, and then we also used a tiny touch of Reef and a little bit of Saturnine, which is a beautiful grey blue, just to pair them with the dress. So, and we talked about how we sort of pull random colours from our image, and when I'm picking my main colours for a piece, and I want the image to sort of blend in with the piece and look like it's always been there and it's part of the piece rather than just an image slapped over the top of a piece, I pick out some of the main colours. So this was mainly dark greens, and then we had the blue through the dress. So that's what I sort of went with. I went with the 2 dark greens because I really wanted to emphasise those, and then a little touch of blue. Most of the blue is actually just here at the bottom, but I do have a couple of little patches here and there. And then yesterday we finalised our blend, so we got it all looking pretty, and it was effectively our second coat of paint. Chalk Finish has got amazing coverage, so it doesn't really need a second coat for most colours, but we sort of just needed to smooth it out a little bit and get it just looking perfect. So that's what we did with our blend yesterday. And then we came over our image and we did some painting over the image to make it look like an actual painting and not just a print or a digitally created painting. And let me grab, hang on, I'm going to grab the before. Let me grab a fresh one so I can show you that difference. Let me grab this and show you the difference, the before and after, just so you get, I suppose, an appreciation for the difference from just using the paper as is to painting in the image a little bit, with the aim of just making it look like an old painting. So, and to paint it in, we used a combination of our chalk finish, the colours that we've already been using, and then we also used a handful of just normal acrylic paints. We used these ones. These are Montmartre. These are really easy to pick up. We used to stock them, and I'm thinking we should get them back in. But you pick them up for $3 to $4, and they're brilliant. And we only use like little pea-sized amounts of most colours. So let me grab this out for you. So I've got the aircon blowing in one direction, the fan behind me, and getting blown away. Okay, be nice, everyone. All right, so here's our before, right? Really pretty. Let me show you nice and close. Her hair, her face, her dress, the book, and then the chair. Alright, so that's our before image. Alright, and then let me bring you in closer. Let me sit this somewhere where it's not going to get blown away. Let me bring you in a bit closer for our finished artwork. So I did come in today, and her cheek ended up a little bit red with the blush, and I just sort of added a little bit more today. Oops, sorry, I pushed the wrong button. There we go. Right. So her hair's changed quite a lot. So I've mainly put through, where'd it go? Her hair is mainly the burnt sienna and a little bit of blush from the Pure Eco finish. Hello, Diane. How are you, lovely? We're just about to finish our beautiful lady. I've sort of painted over her face a little bit. In the image, it was a little bit flat. So I just wanted to add a little bit. Now, I'm not an artist at all. I could not paint a face from scratch at all. But doing it like this, it's kind of like paint by number. And I used what was already sort of going on and then just added a little bit more. You can see I've really dulled her cheek down. Yesterday, it ended up really, really red. The chair and these colours, when I seal them, are going to become a lot brighter and bolder as well. And the darker colours are going to become a bit darker as well. I did bring sort of the face colour down. I sort of emphasised her bust a little bit, just so she doesn't look quite as flat. Down her arms. The lace, most of the lace is actually the satinine mixed with, so these two, hang on, let me show, hang on, where is it? This one? Sorry. This one, the satinine, which is what I've used on most of the dress, mixed with the blush. And then I've used a little bit of black. Now you'll notice I have redone her buttons. I didn't like how they were looking. I've sort of emphasized the dress. I really wanted it to look like it was flowing. Because we chopped off such a large amount of her dress, I wanted to make use of what we did have. And then her book, it was driving me nuts. So let me take you over here and remind you of what we were working with. This was the book, right? And it just didn't look right. It wasn't in the right position. Like this needed to come in. Just wasn't quite 100%. And once I realised, it's all I could see. So I've actually painted in the book, painted in the book and then corrected it. And then I've just used my greens that I've already put in the background to paint it in. And you can see how easily you can alter these images as well. Like, I could completely paint that out. I could paint the sleeve and the arm in and make it look like there's no book there at all. I did add a thumb as well, just because it sort of, I think her hand was sort of like that and I didn't like that. So I kind of added a thumb just to sort of blend it in. Her hands aren't 100%, but she's better than what I think she started. And now she looks like a painting. She looks like part of the image, which is what I was really going for. I did paint in some of the wall, just a little bit as well. And then we'll come around while I've got you. So there's one side. Now I did bring some of the reds and oranges that I've used in the face and the hair. Some there. I've got some over here on the hinge. It kind of looks like rust. So I really love using that burnt sienna. And then the other side as well. So we're all blended. We're all looking pretty. Now we get to seal it. So the top was already sanded. Today, when I was painting, obviously I got lots of paint on this. I just ran my electric sander back along the edge. Took 2 seconds, took all that excess paint off. And now I've got a nice clean edge ready to stain as well, which we might do today. Let's see how we go. All right, she's looking pretty. Let me pop you back in the tripod. Don't mind the horrendous mess of my studio. My husband's, we've been working really hard this week to try and get his, he runs an e-waste, an electrical waste business. And we were inundated over Christmas, like just, oops. No, I don't want to do that. Facebook, sorry, hang on. Inundated over Christmas, and we're still playing catch up. Right, there she is. Okay, so today we're going to seal her. Now, with a chalk finish, you have to seal it. There's no options when it comes to chalk finish. It has to be sealed because it is a porous paint. It will mark. Even just your fingernails scratching it, it will mark the paint. You'll get like a white line in it. Any water spots will land and you will be able to see them. Oil spots, etc., they're all going to mark. Even just like if I spritzed my water bottle over it, I would see all those little water marks and they won't go anywhere. So you do have to seal your chalk paint. It is not optional, it must be sealed. So if you want an option, with the same great colours, you can still do all this blending. If you're on our YouTube, or jump onto our YouTube, The Painted Brush & Co., you will see I've got heaps of similar videos doing the blending, but using silk finish, which is what we use with the satinine. That's that blue that we used. Silk finish is an all-in-one paint with a built-in top coat. You can still do this look with this very, very easily. It's pretty much exactly the same process. There's nothing really different, except it's got the built-in top coat. So you don't then have to seal it. But because we've used chalk, we have to seal. Now your options with chalk for sealing is you can use an oil like hemp finishing oil. You can use a wax, a beeswax polish. You could use a liquid wax or a hemp infused wax. Plenty of options. Or you can use a top coat. Now, I love a wax. I really, really love waxing chalk paint. But I'll be perfectly honest, I cannot be bothered. Absolutely cannot be bothered. It's Friday. I don't want to do that. So instead, we're going for the next best thing, which I don't normally do. I actually don't use a lot of top coats, but I just can't be bothered waxing. We're going to use Pure Eco's matte finish. This is an exterior grade. Hang on. Stop moving. Our paper just got blown down. Sit. Sorry about that. This is an exterior grade water-based top coat. It is a polyurethane. It's incredibly durable. I have got this on my bathroom vanity. We're a year in, just over a year in, and it's still looking really good. It's not looking like new. I've got 3 kids who are extremely rough with it. And it's had water sort of just left sitting on it regularly. But it is a really, really good top coat. And it will do the job for this. This is a 600ml jar. It also comes in a 250ml jar, which looks like this. Actually, this is an old matte finish jar as well. That's what we mixed our glue in. So 250ml or a 600ml. I think the 600's $50, and the smaller ones, I think they're $25. I think they're all on my website. They're linked below anyway. So with this, it does separate in the jar. So give it a really, really good shake, which I've already been doing. And then it never hurts to also give it a really good stir as well. So it's white in the jar. Hang on, I've just got to put everything somewhere where it's not going to blow away. It's the price we pay for not sweating our balls off, isn't it? Right, it is white in the jar, but it goes on clear and it dries clear. Can you see how it's a bit gluggy just there? So this needs a really, actually that's a bit off the edge that's not meant to be in there. It doesn't normally get that gluggy. Right, so just give it a good mix until it all looks like it's incorporated really, really well. Those little handheld coffee frothers that you can get, they're like $2. They are brilliant for mixing your paint, and they wash really, really easily as well. Otherwise a whisk, or like me, a spoon. We've actually got these spoons in, I think it's 10 or 50 packs as well for like $5. So they're all on the website. I brought a box of them thinking there was maybe a couple of hundred, and there's like 2,000 spoons in this box, and I'm still trying to get rid of them. Every now and then you'll get a freebie in your orders, because I've just got that many of them. So just give it a really, really good stir. Make sure if there is any lumps, etc., it's well mixed. I opened this, I've used it probably 6 months ago, this jar, and I haven't touched it again since. So I am going to give it a really, really good stir. And then for application, use a sponge. So much easier. You can spray it, you can brush it, you've got all those options, but seriously, just sponge it on. Wipe it on. Sorry, I'm just gonna like bins past the camera. And because it is warm, and regardless, I always have my sponge a little bit damp. It's all over my fingers now. Get yourself your spray bottle. These are, they're either $12 or $14. They're on my website. These are amazing. You can control how much comes out. They're brilliant. Little mister bottles. I'm just going to get my sponge nice and damp. I don't want it to the point where it's like dripping off. I just want it damp. And then all you're going to do is dip it in. We've actually, if you've purchased previously and gotten one of these jars, we switched to these flatter jars because the sponges fit in. Whereas these, you like scraping and it just doesn't work. Oops. Alright, so get some on your sponge. Let's pop it on. I'm actually going to open the door first too. I'm just going to get this edging. And we're going to do 2 coats of this as well. Because it's nice and warm, 2 coats will be done in record time. And the best, oh, excuse me, door. The best part with a top coat too, if you realise afterwards that you need to touch it up anywhere, like you've missed a spot, or maybe you're not happy with a particular spot, you just paint straight over the top of it and then pop a bit of sealer over that. You'll never know that you've done it. Whereas a wax, you've got to remove your wax. So you do have that benefit as well. So if you're unsure about anywhere, you've got that option. You can leave the door open just for a second while this does its drying. And because we're using a sponge, it's just making sure as well that it's not going on too thick. And you can see how much that paint has already darkened. Wait until you see the front and see our image really come to life. And a wax will do the same thing too here. A wax will look the same. one's a bit wet, but it should be fine. Just sit you there for a minute. All right. Now it's completely up to you as well. I think I mentioned it, whether or not you paint over. Sorry, you're looking at me. That doesn't help anybody. Sorry. It's completely up to you whether or not you paint over hinges. Obviously, I have. It's not a huge deal. You can always take your hinges, paint with your door on, then take your hinges off. Chuck them into a bowl with like some boiling water and some soap. That paint will just fall off them. A gentle wipe and you're good to go. Alright. So you can see how bright and bold that green is now. Now let's start putting it over our paper. So just go gentle on your paper because it is a paper. When it gets wet, it might crinkle a little bit, but don't stress. All those crinkles will fade away. And try not to touch it too much. Get that first coat on and then we can come back and do the second coat. This is such an easy way to apply your top coats. It's so much easier than using a brush. It stops you from getting all those drips. It's just easy. It really, really is. Now, this is drying really quickly. Obviously, it's quite warm today. It's about 30 degrees. We do have a fan and a heat and not a heater, an aircon blowing directly on us. So this is drying really, really quickly. So we'll be able to sort of do both sides and then go back to the front and start the second coat straight away. You don't have to wait a certain amount of time. As soon as it's dry, you can go on with your second coat. So just add more to your sponge whenever you feel like it needs more. Can you see how deep those greens are getting? I love chalk paint because it dries lighter and then you get to do this. And regardless of which way you seal it, it's going to do this. And it's so beautiful watching that paint come to life. And all those colours. Particularly when you've done a blend like this as well. So, and I like the sponge for like squeezing that top coat up into those corners. I've just got a little lump there and there of my top coat, so I'm just going to scrape them off with my nail. Like so. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube later, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ask any questions you have. If you prefer, you're more than welcome to send me a message as well. Let me turn this back around. So the front's pretty much dry, but we'll turn it all the way. Let's do the other side. So you can see how much darker that colour is. It's just a touch, but it's just enough that it's so beautiful. I'm just going to do along that underside as well. you have any big like drips and pools, just either use your finger or grab like a little brush to grab them. You can also lightly sand them out as well, or grab a knife afterwards and just very gently cut them off if you do have anything major go wrong. But using the sponge will stop most of that pooling and the dripping that you normally would have. How are we looking? Pretty good? Oh, I haven't done that bottom. You see how beautiful that colour gets when you seal it, the greens. I really love the bergamot when it gets nice and sealed. That looks really good. I'm just sort of peeling some of the stuff off my fingers. You can wear gloves if you want. I never do. That's why I don't have pretty nails. I'd love to have my nails done all the time. But when you do this sort of stuff, it's just not worth bothering with. Because you just don't get anywhere with it. And you ruin them in about 2 seconds flat. Alright, so here's our front again. We're looking really good. We're nice and dry, so we're just going to go over it a second time with our sponge. I'm just going to wet my sponge down just a little bit again. Whee! Excuse me. I'm just going to give my top coat another little stir. Alright. So your second coat just gets anywhere that you missed on your first coat. You only need to do 2 coats. But this just makes sure that everywhere's got a really nice covering. And this top coat is an ultra matte. It's very, very low sheen. I just got a little bit along the bottom there, like a little bit too much. So I'm just wiping it off with the back of my sponge. Beautiful. I'll run down along the inside here, along the top, quickly. Come outside and do that bit there. Let's run down that leg. And we're just going to let this door sort of sit there so it doesn't, I don't want it to fully close just because I don't want it to stick. I'm just going to let this dry. So you just need to let this dry until it's dry pretty much. It's got like a 7 to 10 day cure time. It's really durable. What else? It's all water based as well, so don't stress about getting it on your skin. I think I did say that, but in case I didn't, it is water based. And it will just wash straight off with some warm soapy water. And your sponge you can wash and keep reusing as well. It also won't yellow over time like an oil-based top coat. So you do have that little benefit as well. You will notice your second coat sort of glides on that little bit easier just because it now doesn't have that resistance of the chalk paint. It's going over itself instead. So this second coat is always way quicker just because it does just glide on. So a good coat, I always make sure I've got a really good coat on legs and anywhere a piece is going to be touched a lot. So anywhere like around the door handles, the legs where it might get bumped and kicked, along, hang on, I'll just do this bit here while I'm here too. Along like the tops of doors on cupboards like these, because you're going to touch that quite a lot. So anywhere where it's going to be touched quite a lot, I always make sure that I've just got a nice solid coverage over it, just to make sure that it wears just as well as expected, although if not better than expected, I should say. Oh, those colours, aren't they beautiful? I'm so excited to come back Monday and get this staged. Really, really excited. I think it's so gorgeous. This one will be for sale as well. So if you've seen any of our videos, if you've liked what I've created, it will be available. I think it will have $250 on it, this one. I always decide pricing when I stage, because it depends how well it photographs for me most of the time. I know how many hours I put in, I know the materials, etc. that I put in, and my initial cost. But I always decide my final pricing when I'm like staging and editing photos. There we go, we're done. So, our beautiful lady is looking mighty fine, I must say. I am so happy with this piece. Sometimes you just get a piece and you just go, yeah, oh, I did well. Whenever you get a bit creative, it's always, oh, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? But I think it's safe to say that I have just about nailed this piece. Now, the only decision is, do we keep a nice light top, or do we go a bit darker? I'm kind of leaning towards a darker top, but I'd love your thoughts in the comments. I would absolutely love your opinion. You can see, actually, let me pull you off. You can see like the top coat just flakes off your fingers, and that will wash really, really easily. Let me bring you in closer just so you can see what I mean with the paper when it gets wet. Can you see how it's all bubbled? That's just because it's gotten wet. So once that all dries by like tomorrow, all of that will go back to that really nice smooth finish that we had originally. And that was the same when we glued it the other day. I think I forgot to take you in for a close-up yesterday, but when we glued it on Wednesday, when we first applied it, it looked like this. And then it fully dried and nearly all of our lines and our creases and our bubbles vanished. And if I come back and say these are really sticking out, then I can put a little pinhole in them and pop a bit more glue. There we go. She's so beautiful. So that's our top that we're working with. I think it needs to go darker. It was a pain in the behind to sand. I've had two like that now this week. I've got this little bookcase here as well that I'm about to start. Exactly the same. Absolute pain in my behind, but we got it. We got there in the end. All right, that is it for this little mini series. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've learnt lots. Again, these are Posh papers. They are now available on our website and in store. We have 4 designs. I think there's about 20-ish in the range, and I'm just stocking the selection that we have for the Painted Brush & Co. So our own, what do you call it? Our own range. At the moment, I'm not stocking any of the others, although I can get them in. I encourage you, though, to shop with those particular stockists. That's it. I think that's it. I hope you've learnt something. I hope you have a go with your decoupage. If you've got any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask. As I said at the beginning of the live for this cupboard, if you're a bit unsure about decoupage and it's your first go, grab something like this cupboard with a really clearly defined edging. Find an image that you love. It doesn't matter what the image is. Find the decoupage that you love, stick it in the middle of that framing, and then work from there. The colours don't have to be an exact match, because we've painted those colours onto our image to make it look like it's all matchy-matchy. And you don't have to do that either. It's all optional. But this is how I love to do decoupage. I know a few of you have given this a go, and I would love to see it if any of you, if anyone else gives this a go, if you use these papers. I think that's it. I think that's it. Have an absolutely wonderful Friday afternoon, or whatever day of the week it is that you're watching this. Have a lovely day. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And Facebook, Instagram. Hit the like or the follow. And yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. See you next time.